and thank you. Oh, it's so good to have the live studio audience back. Hello again, fellow basement dwellers. This is your good friend Patrick O'Dowd welcoming you in to another edition of Bandwagon Nerds. Bandwagon Nerds is brought to you as a part of the Chairshot Radio Network here on thechairshot.com, the newly revamped, relaunched, you heard it here first, chairshot.com, where we remind you to always use your head.
Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
If you are listening live on YouTube right now, welcome into the live stream. If you are listening to this on Monday, welcome to the new and improved, better than ever, bigger than life showcase of the immortals. That is thechairshot.com. The rebranding has commenced, and it's all due to two of the men sitting across from me today. You'll notice, yes, I'm Patrick O'Dowd, the wrestling realist, the number one chair shot villain. You'll notice there's no lawyer, David Ungar, today. It's because he is hanging out with the Peanuts gang at Knott's Berry Farm. I hope he kicks Woodstock in the face. Fuck that bird. Anyway, wow. I don't know. I actually I don't know why I said that. I really don't have anything against Woodstock. I think I did that just to elicit an unnecessary reaction. I'm sorry. I apologize, all you Woodstock fans out there. I love me some Woodstock. He's a good dude. He's good. He didn't hurt anybody. I am, of course, joined by the melanated dude, as his tagline would say. But he's
that means I'm black.
Does it now? Really? Because to quote every Southern racist who pretends they're not racist, I don't see color. Anyway.
What color's my shirt, Patrick?
It's the same color as your skin. What?
Okay, got you.
Because I don't see color.
Because you're colorblind, apparently.
I'm colorblind. Right. That is as disingenuous as it sounds, everybody. Anyway, the Reverend Raymond S. Cashington Esquire is also here as well. Web designer to the stars, or at least to Chairshot Radio. Good to have you on this show today.
My actual title, sir, is the Executive Vice President of Digital Content.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like, be proud of yourself. You know, pat yourself on the back. But the villainy has commenced. I'm done being nice. So there you go. We also have with us the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations for Wednesday Programming, Mr. Saturday Night, PC Tony. How's it going? Saturday Night Live's got to be coming up on its season finale soon, right? Early May?
I think we had Olivia Rodrigo do double duty last night. Next week, Matt Damon. I forget the musical guest.
Matt Damon.
The season 51 finale. I'm sorry?
Coleman was last night, wasn't he? Or was that last week?
Who?
Coleman Domingo.
I'm not sure. I just know the last three shows. And the last show of the season is Will Ferrell hosting with Paul McCartney as musical guest.
Oh, good. Good to see that Paul McCartney can still, what is he, like 80 years old now? Yeah, it seems about right. Well, here's what I always say this when we talk about the Beatles and how ridiculous the Beatles run were. The Beatles basically were together for 10 years, and that was their 20s. Like that was their 20s. So the fact that Paul McCartney really, in the grand scheme of things, when we think about the Beatles and how long ago they were, we think of them as if it was like millions of years ago, or, you know, this like huge thing in the distance. It really wasn't that long ago. And Paul McCartney is just now really showing the signs of his wear and tear. The voice is not quite the same. I'll be interested to hear how he sounds. I hear he still puts on a fun show. But Will Ferrell, always a good time. Love the Beatles. Love Wings. Okay with Paul's solo stuff. Like, it's fine. We do have quite an interesting show today, gentlemen. As we're doing something unprecedented for the bandwagon, something that's never been done before. Because there have been times where we have covered 2 shows on an episode. But we've never covered 3. And today, that's right, folks, we are covering not 1, not 2, but 3 streaming shows on the podcast. And because of that, I cut back on news around the nerdosphere, though the one piece of news that I did share, I thought would be a fun conversation piece. I hope you guys took a glance at it because there's some really interesting stuff in there. But I'm sitting there looking at it. I was like, we're going to sit there, we're going to pontificate on Invincible season 4, where I do have to say on this podcast, I was wrong. I was incorrect in what I said would happen last week. And we'll get to that in a minute. It wasn't that funny.
I was thinking about it the whole time I was watching the show. Like, oh, they're not even gonna, not at all, not even once.
I wasn't even close. I was completely wrong.
Forget the show. They started advertising it like the next day.
As it is, we will. You guys can feel free to pile on when we get to the show. We have a rundown in front of us. I worked really hard for 10 minutes on this rundown, and the only reason it took that long is because I had to copy some links. Anyway, but Daredevil Born Again season 2, arguably the best episode so far. Hit Disney Plus, and then we got our first 2 episodes of the final season of The Boys as well. So it was a busy week for us on Amazon Prime, to say the least. Now we do, of course, we're gonna have the trailer park. We can't not have a trailer park. I don't think we're not showing any trailers today. I think we're just gonna talk about them. Nothing queued up. That's the sort of thing that like Dave really likes to do, and more power to him. And again, didn't go too deep into the trailers. Ray and I were actually talking a little bit about one of the trailers I left off, and I'm okay with the trailer that I left off for personal, just for reasons I didn't want to cover it. So we left that one alone. And so I love these shows when we don't have a lot of bullets, because they could either go like an hour, or I'm going to get a text from Greg being like, why the fuck did you talk for 3 hours? I don't think we're going to go 3 hours. But I do think this has the opportunity to be a nice, tight little show, get you guys done in time to catch up on the Masters, if that's what you're doing as we record here on a Sunday. I can watch the finale of this week's PBA tournament, which for me, EJ Tackett, for the first time all season, didn't make a cut. Didn't even make it to elimination round. So my favorite bowler, not in the finals of this New York City Classic that is taking place. I did hate it a little bit, but it also just speaks to how good he is that it took a season and a half for him to miss a cut and not make television. But anyway, that's not all that's back, though, everybody. So much has happened for this week's episode. The return of the studio audience. But Ray, we have other returns. It's true. To quote Kurt Angle, it's damn true. And I did a wrestling reference on the Bandwagon Nerds. Like, everything's crazy. I need you to pick a number between 1 and 6. No, that's when I forget characters' names. We're not to that part of the show yet.
I've been hanging around 10 too long. I just drink, not a drink. It's just part of
fair enough. Give me a number between 1 and 6, sir.
Can I get some numero 6?
So we are going with 6. That's right, everybody. We got banjos. Banjos have returned. Somebody in Alabama just got really excited. That's what happened right there. Good deal.
We're big in Alabama.
Black Betty,
Alabama.
Abba-dabba-doo. We do have sounds back, everybody. This is great. This is great for us. Maybe less so for me. That's always nice.
It's great for Tony. He's very happy.
Well, it's the same problem I have on the Greg DeMarco shows. Once Greg gets sound bites, like, do we even do a show, or is it just Greg hitting sound bites for an hour? No. Funny story though. Here's the thing. I am rewatching G.I. Joe on Tubi right now. I told you this. I am rewatching them from the very beginning. The OG 1982 5-episode special that then launched the cartoon that I grew up on, know, and love. They have everything through the G.I. Joe movie, plus the really shitty 2 seasons that came after.
Sorry.
I don't see this now.
I'm
Now
done.
you're a little overzealous.
Hey,
Overzealous.
Patrick, you know what
Hey,
just dropped on Tubi? What's dropping on Tubi this week?
What's dropping on TV this week?
Static Shock.
Really? That's
Yeah.
That's another one. Justice League, the OG Justice League's on there too. I think it was Cartoon Network, right? Did they
The
do
first from Cartoon Network, yeah.
with the not the Super Friends, not the old 1970s.
Yeah,
Cartoon
the
that was on
original
Saturday
7
mornings.
with
Yeah.
Manhunter and Shira Hardgirl. Greatest introduction song in superhero history. That Justice League song is a banger.
It is. I love the nerdy tone of the Teen Titans theme song. That was always one of the ones that
Sure,
the little
Batman
lowdown I
Beyond is
enjoyed.
dope too.
Yep.
Batman Beyond is a dope one.
So this is totally everything that we plan to talk about today, and not the 3 trailers that we have in front of us, which are eclectic to say the least. But we're going to start with a production, a new film adaptation coming soon to Netflix on a book that I think everybody in 8th grade had to read at some point, and that is The Lord of the Flies, the story of a group of stranded British schoolboys after a plane crash on a deserted island, and the way their, for lack of a better way to describe it, society breaks down as they fight to survive both the elements and each other as it becomes a big power play. This is a novel that I think was assigned. It gets assigned at some point in most public school systems. This, of course, has a look of something that's going to be pretty gruesome and violent. There is a lot of strong versus weak, which is the theme of Lord of the Flies, and how it all breaks down does ultimately result in the death of children. This is never an easy watch. This trailer makes things look pretty harrowing. It definitely sets up a dichotomy of 2 of the boys that will be leading the respective factions that form on this island. I don't remember which one of you shared this trailer, so I'll start with Ray Cash and your thoughts on this first look at Lord of the Flies.
Well, I'm glad you answered that question for me because I was one of the few people in school that didn't read that. Although I know this, I know of the book. I'm familiar with the story, so I
Right.
know all this. But I've never read it, so I was wondering when I first saw it on the rundown, is this directly related to the book? Because of all you mentioned it. That's one of the more popular books in history, in American history, I'd imagine. It's not American, but you get what I'm saying.
Right.
And to my knowledge, this is like the first real adaptation they've done a movie. In the
There was
modern
one done in the
times.
90s. There was one
Okay,
done in around
word.
1990 or so. Went to theaters.
So this is going to be a terrible analogy. Because movie looks great. Really enjoyed it. Really looking forward to it. I'll watch it. It looks like, I'm speaking of books we read in 8th grade, it looks like Animal Farm with kids.
Similar to like that.
And technically, Animal Farm should be Lord of the Flies with animals, but you get the point.
Yeah, it's very much looking at themes of societal breakdown and power. And Animal Farm, which is coming out as an animated film that was I think done by Andy Serkis and has
Rogan.
Seth Rogen as one of the voice characters. Though it's interesting, the production company is a very strong, like, Christian based production company, which I didn't know, and so I'm interested to see how that shows, what that looks like on a screen.
I don't have a lot of faith in it anyway, even though everybody involved,
Right.
I have a lot of faith in, honestly. I just don't have a lot of faith in the project.
And so it becomes very much like this big mess of just everything breaking down amongst these boys between 2 people struggling for leadership. Tunney, your thoughts on this trailer? Looks harrowing. Children in danger. It's coming to Netflix on May 14th.
This is a movie, right?
Yes.
It's not going to be in theaters at all.
Netflix.
Netflix. I have not seen a theatrical release announced.
So it's weird because this type of movie, like if the child acting is really good and the storyline is executed properly, this movie is something that is really going to connect with people. Like these themes are like people pick up on these different adult themes better when you have put kids in the place of adults having to deal with adult problems, right? And that's basically what the book and the concept is about is can children make a better society than adults? And well, if you read the book and kind of watched this trailer, we all have problems, but this looks great. It looks really cinematically well done. I'm going to check it out for sure.
Yeah, I will definitely give this a watch. It is a piece of, like I said, it's a piece of literature that all often gets taught in schools as we look at our societal norms and what happens when structure and guardrails are taken away. So, interestingly enough, a lot of the footage from the trailer is the end of the novel. The whole like the forest being on fire and all that, that's the end of the novel or towards the end of the novel. So be interesting to see how that plays out. Very looks like a standard look at the novel too. Like it doesn't look like they're doing anything that really goes beyond the scope of the novel. I'll be interested to see how far they go with the violence. Knowing Netflix, they won't have any problems with it. Our second trailer is from our good friends at A24. And most of the time when we talk about A24, we talk about horror, psychological, supernatural, just straight up bloody violent. Allegedly, this trailer for The Invite is a comedy. Now, we mentioned Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's in this movie. Edward Norton's in this movie. Olivia,
Wilde.
what's her? Olivia Wilde.
She directs it too.
Yeah, she's the director. And
Penelope
then
Cruz is the other one.
Yeah, Penelope Cruz. So Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde are this couple. Appears that their neighbors have been invited over for a dinner, Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz. And here's the thing: the vibe. Clearly, Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde are having marital problems together. And my favorite moment in the whole trailer is when he's like, I like that top. It looks very good on you. And she's like, you should say that more often. And he's literally like, but I like see his face. He's like, but I just said it. Like, I don't, what happened here? But it's like this comedy where it seems very clearly that Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz are like fucking with, at the very least, Seth Rogen. Because the trailer really throws into question whether Olivia Wilde is in on it too, as they're getting together for this dinner date at their house. And you see all these weird, like what I would call like gaslighting, passive aggressive, like statements being made. They talk about their friendships and their relationships to one another. It looks like a dark comedy. It looks like a psychological comedy. I love a trailer that doesn't give me a hint as to where it's going. And this trailer had me being like, where is this going? Like what's happening here? And so I'm intrigued. Ray, you went first this last time. Tunney, your thoughts on this really what I think is a strong 4-person cast in what looks like a tight psychological, maybe dark comedy.
Are they trying to get to swinging here? Is that what was going on?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes.
That's part of the question. Is that really what's going on though? Because I don't know. But yes, that element is suggested in the trailer.
This looks fun. I'm definitely. This is a movie up my alley. Like, and you talk about the cast too, man. Penelope Cruz and Selma Hayek found the fountain of youth somewhere because those two look the same as they did 25 years ago. And I mean, oof, we're going to talk about another beautiful female body at some point later on in the show. But yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. I like these funny, kitschy, kind of interesting, weird things. So I'm here for it. Love Edward Norton Jr. too, one of my favorite. Like Death to Smoochie, such an underrated movie.
fun fact: apparently Edward Norton is like ridiculously difficult to work with.
Hmm.
Like that's why he didn't make it past the first Hulk movie. Because every movie that he's in, apparently he tries to take over and write it and direct it.
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, movie looks great. It's absolutely a dark comedy. Absolutely, unquestionably.
Right.
The thing that shocked me about this was what Tunney said. Olivia Wilde directed this. This feels like a Rogan movie. And the fact that Olivia Wilde is directing this makes me think that there is something else afoot here. Because Rogan usually, as good as is and can be, has he kind of has a rhythm to his movies and a style. We've never seen Olivia Wilde direct in this level of a movie, so I'm interested to see where she goes. But yeah, dog, this is when inviting your neighbors to be swingers doesn't work.
Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, I was sorry. I was looking for a quick look to see who. So who wrote this? Will McCormick, Rashida Jones actually was one of the people who was involved in the screenplay, and it was based on a motion picture. So this is actually an adaptation of another movie called Sentimental by a guy named Seek Gay. I'm hoping I get that name right. It's a very challenging one, so it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see where this movie is. You know, like I said, Olivia Wilde. This is her directorial debut. Like this is the first thing she's directed, so be a lot of fun and very interesting. Now, this would not be a nerd podcast if we didn't have some sort of nerd trailer to cover. And this week we got our first true look at the upcoming Marvel special, like it's not a series, special involving the Punisher called The Punisher One Last Kill. And guys, stop me if you've heard this one before. Frank Castle is battling his demons from his past. I can see you're stunned.
Next, you're gonna tell me Florence.
Is Florence Pugh in this?
I have not seen Florence Pugh in any of the footage, so I can neither confirm nor deny the involvement of Florence Pugh in the Punisher One Last Kill. But Frank's seeing ghosts. Looks like war buddies from his past talking to him. Here's the thing: is I've read nothing about synopsis or plot on this, and I don't want to because I don't know who he's taking down, but it clearly has something to do with his life. He's walking through a street in New York that's just being ravaged by violence. There's children involved, children being taken and kidnapped. He's having hallucinations and visions of his wife and his daughter, like he always does. It's Frank Castle just beating the shit out of people because the dude is damaged. Very damaged. Very, 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 very damaged. But I'm going to watch it. How can we not watch it?
Yeah,
right?
you have
How
to.
can we not watch this show?
It's another piece of the pie as we move into Brand New Day as well, right? Like,
right.
It's coming out.
It comes out in May.
May. I just had talked my mom into she has to watch Daredevil season 1 and season 2 before we go to the movie, and now when she comes back from her vacation that my parents are on right now, she's going to have to watch this show too, because you got to know what's going on in Hell's Kitchen, especially.
On the bright side, it's just a one shot. Like it's not this isn't like something you're going to need to binge watch.
Well, so that's the beauty of these special presentations and one shots is that this could just be him, aside from from the MCU and the greater kind of connectivity of it, and just tell one story that is focused on what Bernthal wants to tell. And I'm here
He's
for that.
Heavily involved in this project.
I'm here for it. I'm excited about it. But I will say, and this is not a detriment or a knock, but I am curious, not concerned yet, but curious because we have 3 projects that either involve the Punisher directly or tertiarily, right? Daredevil. The last thing we saw Daredevil season 1 was Frank in the cage. They even mention where's Frank at, and they're in Frank's hideout in Daredevil season 2. We have him in Queens going after something, helping or fighting Spider-Man in that movie. And now we have this. So it would be good for me to know, where is he in all of these situations in the timeline, and how did he get from spot to spot to spot? Because we still don't know how he got the cage. I mean, you and I, Patrick, had a conversation that they alluded to him killing the dude and taking the bone, but we don't know literally yet, because when they broke out everybody with swordsmen, he was already gone. So how do you
Yeah,
go
he
from
was
that to in the same city where vigilantes are being attacked and this and that, and they're throwing them in jail and killing people, to my boy on the streets in the Punisher van up the road in Queens? So I want to know what the answer of that to all that is.
well, I to quote Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me, it's best we just don't think about
Probably.
it. Like, and this is one of the things that and maybe I'll pose this question when we get into Daredevil a little bit more. Is there value in Marvel maybe leaning into, after we get through Doomsday and whatever this reset is, a little more disconnect where we don't have everything in one giant timeline thread? And Ray, you disagree. I am not saying that they don't. Well, here's what I'm saying: that they don't have to have something can have. This is my point: is we can have a thing about Frank Castle that happens with Frank Castle that is unique to Frank Castle, that doesn't necessarily need to have some giant grander implication on a more massive timeline, and that and be okay with that, because I think that one of the problems that I've seen with the MCU is the twisting themselves in the knots to make it all connect, and that pissing
Yeah.
off the fans when it doesn't. And if you can have a story, like part of the reason why I liked the horror one that came out, what was that? Something of the Wolf. You remember which one I'm talking about, with Man Thing, like
Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night. That thing just happened and existed. It was great, and it's happened and existed. And maybe they show up, maybe they don't, but that doesn't have to have some huge implication on the
Yeah.
greater MCU timeline. And
So
I'm here for some of that.
so I see your point, and I am too, in the way you pitched it. But that's
Right.
not what the situation is. The Punisher has been an active member of the MCU for a while now, and an active member of the Marvel Universe in general for longer, if you count the Defenders verse. So to then isolate that character all of a sudden, I think isn't what's going to work. And a lot of the things that we've criticized about not MCU, but like other properties,
Mhm.
the DCU's multiple tries at stuff, the Fox verse, the Sony verse, all these other times that we've had movies or properties, even Agents of Shield. The biggest criticism, all of them is, well, where's this? Where's this? Where's that? I remember when Joker came out, people were pissed because in Joker, he ends up being Bruce Wayne's brother, right? And but then what's the conversation about the DCU now? Who's gonna be the Batman? Well, Robin Pattinson's the Batman. Well, no, he's not. He's not the Batman in this universe. One timeline is just, I think, ends a lot of questions. Just be the answer. The biggest answer, Patrick, is don't put Punisher in Daredevil. Don't an
Eh,
answer.
I don't know. I think we're working through. I think the MCU is actually building two separate not timelines, but arcs. I think they really have leaned fully into the like sort of bigger universe and street level universe timeline in this work, whether it be things like Hawkeye, whether it be oh god, what's Echo, whether it be here now with Daredevil, and the continuity with Daredevil slash the whole Defenders Netflix line is interesting to me, because what exists and what doesn't. Because we've never once talked about, like, in the new Daredevil world that we have, we've never once talked about the fact that Luke Cage runs Harlem. at the end of season 2 or season 3, whatever it was, of Luke Cage.
No, that's fair.
And you know, and they're coming back, and Jessica Jones is going to show up at the end. You know, at the end of this season.
Also,
back
to that
half of the
point,
season.
we haven't been to Harlem on any screen anyway since either. So
Nope. So, but we know that Luke Cage was running that show. Now he's running it as part of the underworld, and not necessarily as a vigilante hero. So it's a
Right,
little
but
bit of a different take. So maybe Kingpin doesn't give a shit because
Yeah.
of what Luke is doing.
doesn't affect
You know what I
him.
mean?
Doesn't affect him anyway. Yeah.
Right. And you know, and Frank broke out, and then Frank went into hiding. And this to me, you asked like how this fits, and I don't know where it's going to fit with Brand New Day. I think we're going to have to just wait and see what happens with Brand New Day. And I would, you know, I just was wrong on a prediction last week on an episode, but I'm going to make another one today because that's what we do. I don't know that this episode or this one shot will necessarily tell you how Frank is doing something in Queens. And Tony, I'm sorry, we've gone off on this huge tangent. You haven't had a chance to like pipe in, but I think that this one shot is going to, I hope it's answering what you asked in regards to Daredevil, and at least in like where he went and what in my opinion drove him to find a different place to hide, and what's going to bring him out from this different place to hide. Go ahead, Tony.
No, you guys are having a great conversation about it right there and bringing up some really valid points. And I talk about it all the time, especially like in the Star Wars universe, like fill in the holes, fill in the gaps, give me those stories, right? And that's exactly what they're doing here. So you got to think with the way that everything's been scheduled, this all has to be feeding into Brand New Day, right? And hopefully at some point we do talk about Luke Cage running Harlem and things of that nature. I'm here for that too. But for right now, this is going to be some next level stuff, in my opinion. I just, the way Bernthal plays this character, we talk about it, comparing him to D'Onofrio playing Kingpin. You don't really see the actor, you see the character when you see him.
Right.
When I see Bernthal, I see Frank Castle. When I see D'Onofrio, I see Kingpin. That's just, and it's a good thing.
Right.
Great point.
Shit, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it back. But
sorry, I'll try to make
no.
Points.
It was based on what you said, and then like whatever I was like, it literally just like
that happens to me all the time.
Just gone.
It's actually half of Ray and I's conversations is me doing that and him reminding me that we had the conversation like 3 times in the last 3 days.
A lot of people when they talk about the Netflix universe and things that they loved or missed or wish would have kept going. A lot of people talk about how great Jessica Jones was. A lot of people talk about great Daredevil was. My favorite cliffhanger ending was what became the de facto series finale for Luke Cage. It was a great image, and it was just one of those things where it's like we ended with Luke at this place. And I was ready for what we were going to see next, and then we never got it. So I hope we get it on some level. But you know what? We got a TV show to talk about. We got 3 TV shows to talk about. So we'll do some more Marvel talk after the commercial break. Before we go to the commercial break, let's talk about how wrong Patrick O'Dowd was, because I sat here on these internet airwaves last week and I was like, look. This big dramatic ending happened in episode 5.
5.
Where
we just watched 6.
Where Mark literally gets his guts ripped out, his survival is in question, and I sat here and I was like, I bet you we go back to Earth and we don't learn anything. I stand corrected. I was wrong. They went against type in this episode, and they did something that they haven't typically done, and that is that we got to stay with Omni-Man. We got to stay with fucking little purple kid,
Oliver,
that's what it is. I wanted to call him Orson, and I knew that wasn't the right answer.
Orson.
I don't know. It's not even.
Call him.
I don't even
call him. Yeah, maybe he's Orville Redenbacher.
Yeah, little purple kid is what I'm going to stick with. We got to see we got to see the launching of the great the Confederacy or whatever the group of planets or worlds that are going to war with the Viltrumites, and that great war that is really started to take place and kick off in earnest. But most of the time was spent while Mark is unconscious and recovering slowly, rebuilding the relationship between Omni-Man and his son, and them coming together as they try to save Mark's life. Meanwhile, we get battles happening in space all around us in all these different places where the Viltrumites are actually struggling as all of these people that Nolan told them to go find and bring in to help them fight the Viltrumites starts to lead to results, to the point where the Viltrumites launch an attack on that. What planet is it called? Do you guys remember?
Telestria.
Telestria.
Good call,
Almost
Ray.
out of desperation, and they, as in spoiler alert, because I'll skip ahead. The Nolan and Oliver and Mark come and kind of show up just at the right time to force a Viltrumite retreat that leads to what I'm assuming will be the last 2 episodes as we are going to go to Viltrum.
So this is just the first half of this season, right? There's more episodes than 8 to this season, if I'm not correct. Isn't that how they do Invincible?
It's only 8.
Is it? Okay.
Could just be a huge cliffhanger with more brisk iced tea commercials to tantalize us moving forward. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this. I was pleasantly surprised that we just kept going with the story thread that we had been following and that we didn't cut this off. But this was very much about Nolan and Oliver for the lion's share of this episode. It was also good to see Battle Beast.
Tony popped. I know he did.
I'm sure he did.
Oh, I had this ready.
Oh, look at that. For those of you watching,
you promised me more.
For those of you listening on the pod and not watching this on a stream, Tony just let everybody know the Battle Beast was back. That was a little line that popped up. There it is again.
Back again.
This is what happens when we go to Riverside. We start using these new platforms. That's right. I outed us a little behind the curtain.
Speaking of platforms.
Yeah.
He's saying it somewhere wherever he is.
Also,
wherever he is, he's saying it.
Also.
Wow. Anyway, I'll cede my time over to the two of you. Highlights from this episode. Also, oh no, go ahead. I'll cede my time and then I'll come back to points. Go ahead, Ray.
Great episode. I appreciate that Nolan has. You can tell he finally gets it, right? And because it's not just that he's trying to change, he's allowing people to express to him what he did wrong and taking it to heart. Perfect example of that is when they're going to get the eggs the second time, and Nolan's about to kill him, and Oliver stops him. He's like, "We don't have to kill her. We just need the eggs so she can make more eggs." And Nolan was like, "You right."
That was the first.
And so, was that the first time?
Yeah.
Well, but okay, my bad. I think it's very, very dope for that because it shows that one, he's listening, which is something he never did before, but also two, he's starting to see value in the things that are human as opposed to Viltrumite. Now, on the other end of that, the Viltrumites who don't give a shit about nobody, family, nobody, life, nobody, nothing. What Thrag did was such a. You remember in Avengers Endgame when the Dark Order was losing and Thanos told him to shoot on everybody, and Ebony Maw was like, "But sir, our troops." And he's like, "Fuck them troops, shoot."
Rain of fire.
That's what Thrag was like.
Sir.
Everybody got to die. Everybody got to go. Let's go. But I also think, and this is a war thing, I'm not trying to be relevant to today's, but just the war thing. The people who are winning wars are so arrogant because the Vilgemite, the betrayer, whatever his name is, was so arrogant that he was like, nobody's ever gonna come here. They
Right.
wouldn't do. They had nobody there.
Well, they wouldn't have if they didn't have someone on the inside, right? You,
That's a
you,
good point too. That's a good
yeah.
point too. Go
I,
ahead.
I love the fact that you brought up Nolan's growth as a person, like, and add to the fact that you get Oliver saying like, don't bring her, don't talk about my mom, and just don't, and he stops. But he gets to the point where they're growing together, and Oliver asks on his own, "Hey, tell me more about my mom," right? The trust that he had to build with Oliver, and that was going to be the easiest of his relationships to repair,
Yeah, oh,
mainly
yeah.
because of Oliver's age and his
Well,
species as
and
well,
the
because
kid looks up to
they,
him.
right. Well, he also told him the story about his species, about how they accepted him because he apologized and wanted to move on, and they live such short lives. They don't have time to revel in the past, right? I think the part where Oliver eats the food for the first time, and it's like, it's okay. Do you have any more? And like any great dad would do, he would give up his food for his son 100 times out of 100. The last scene, fuck you. Fuck you for fucking with us, by the way. Making you think, really, he's not dead? Just kidding, he's dead.
That was hilarious.
That was
That was
so
great.
good.
I'm sitting there
I
going,
love
you
that.
gotta be fucking, no way. And then the dust comes through and they cut. I'm like, okay, he's dead. Good. We're done with that then. We're done. We're done. We're done. That was a good fuck with you moment.
It was really good. So here, one of the more poignant moments of that episode for me that I thought was really interesting was the aftermath of the battle. Well, it maybe have been during the battle. The war became real for Telia in that battle. And what I thought was really interesting, it was during the battle because Alan was fighting
Hmm.
a Viltrumite up above her, and she's walking around like just witnessing the carnage.
Shell
And
shock.
for the first time, it to me was like she actually realized, oh hey, I am a commander. I'm not just playing commander here on this world.
There
And
was a
I
really
loved that.
there was a really cool moment with her and Alan when she realized that Alan was there, and Zoe gets to witness that they're in a relationship, and she's
Yep.
like, and they're hugging, and she's like, "Oh, you guys," and then they have the big group hug. I'm like, "Oh, that was pretty cool too."
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool
Zoe's a lot of fun.
relationships
I
in it.
enjoy that
She
character.
is. She's great. She's like, "I won't let you die mainly because Alan, I wouldn't let you die mainly because we need to finish the game."
Yeah. And I look forward to her and Oliver having a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Though Oliver attracted to shellfish.
He's like, "Yeah, but I still ate it."
I know that cracked me up. But yeah, here's the thing is it's reminded me of a character from a show we're going to talk about a little bit later because it reminded me of the Deep
Yeah,
and
a
the
little
Deep's
bit.
attraction to octopi. And
Well,
here's Oliver being like
one's
this lobster.
one's
He wanted
extremely
to
innocent, and the
fuck a
other one is
lobster.
not.
It made him tingly or something like that. He had feelings.
Fuzzy,
I love it,
fuzzy
fuzzy,
inside.
but I do love that he was like, I still ate it. It's like
Yeah, but
I
I still ate
still
it.
ate.
Still ate it.
So he ate all that close. Good episode. We got 2 episodes to go. Looks like we're heading to Viltrum. I think we're in it to the end of this season now at this point. Like I don't think
I'm gonna
there's
laugh if
gonna
we
be.
never go back to Earth the rest of the season.
You know what? And then I'll just stop predicting the fucking show. If like we may not go back to Earth until the very
It might be
end
the
of
last
the season.
episode. It
Like
might be
a
the last
tag in the
episode.
last episode or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Well,
wait and see on that.
one thing too, we talk about going back to Earth. I don't think Oliver ends up staying on Earth, right? When he had that talk with his dad, he's like, I don't fit in there. Like, I don't have friends. He's like, I'm different. I could, like, his planet's gone, isn't it?
No, just it killed damn near everybody on it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see next season where he ends up going.
But
Yeah, we'll have to.
he may end up staying with the Federation.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I do know that we are at the point now that the show has really started to take a lot of branches away from Kirkman's original comic. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that has either been added or changed for the purposes of this show. And Robert Kirkman is heavily involved in those changes, so it's not sort of any company corrupting his vision or anything stupid like that. It's just the nature of a show that has been successful and popular. So, yeah, I think 2 more episodes to go. Viltrum isn't done. Don't think they're done. I think Lee Pace is going to be around for a bit more than half a season, kids. It just doesn't make sense with that kind of talent. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk more shows. We're going to talk some Marvel, and we're going to return to the world of The Boys. So stick around for that. You're listening to Bandwagon Nerds here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Bandwagon Nerds here on the Chairshot Radio Network, a part of the Chairshot.com, where we remind you to always use your head. Make sure you head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/the Chairshot for all of your sweet, sweet Chairshot swag news. There is the information right down below us if you are watching live, or even if you're watching us on a delay. Maybe you popped us onto YouTube on Monday. It's still there. Doesn't disappear just because you're not listening live. Anyway, 2 more shows. This was my favorite. We're going to talk about Daredevil next. This was my favorite episode of television that I watched this week. I will fully own that of the shows that we were covering on the bandwagon, I'm the most invested in Daredevil. I have absolutely loved. I liked what they did in season 1. I have absolutely loved what has happened in season 2. And this was all about Bullseye and Bullseye's endgame. Like, there is some tertiary stuff that is going on with the Kingpin. We left off the previous episode. Matt, Karen, and the Swordsman and White Tiger have all we've broken them out of the prison, the basically their version of an internment camp for vigilantes and vigilante sympathizers. They're holed up in, as Ray pointed out, what appears to be the Punisher's old hideout. And they're recording statements and trying to get information about this Taker and the Kingpin. And amongst that, we get a visitor. We finally get the first mate of the ship, the kind of the linchpin witness who can really blow it all up. He also makes a statement. Karen entrusts Little White Tiger to get this chip to BB in some way, shape, or form. And I love how she figured out how to do it. That's like the tertiary side stuff that's kind of going on in the background, with this episode really focusing on Bullseye and learning what his end game is and who he's after. And in his warped mind, him feeling like he's helping the vigilante cause. As we get this morning routine of him getting up, he makes up a fried egg, feeds it to his neighbor's cat. She thinks he's a sweet boy. He goes to a diner, and he intentionally calls a false sighting of the Punisher into this diner so that all of these Fisk task force people show up. And then he just goes scorched earth and kills the fuck out of all of them. It's great. And then puts his own symbol in ketchup on the doors as he walks on about his day. And as this story progressed and Matt starts to try to track down, Wilson is freaking out. Vanessa is freaking out as we head towards this very public charity boxing match that's going to happen. Security is really, really tight. And we learn, there's a confrontation with Matt and Bullseye where Bullseye is like, I'm trying to do basically a 1-for-1. Like, I'm trying to fix a wrong or make right a wrong. And you learn he doesn't, at the end, he doesn't blame Kingpin. He blames Vanessa and the manipulation of Vanessa. And you learn that the end game for Bullseye is to try and assassinate Vanessa. And he nearly succeeds. And I say nearly because his attack was deflected, but not enough by Kingpin in the middle of this box. So Kingpin beats the holy hell out of a dude. Vanessa shows up against Kingpin's wishes. They had an argument. Uh, Daredevil or Bullseye launches his attack. He throws this like crystal head statuette thing, throws it at the Kingpin. Kingpin blocks it with his title belt that he's holding. It breaks into a million pieces. Kingpin has Bullseye dead to rights. Daredevil saves Bullseye, helps him escape. And then we turn and we end the episode. Vanessa has a shard of glass in her neck from the shattering deflection, it's in the temple. That's right. You're right. And we are left with a pseudo cliffhanger, though it seems like Vanessa is no more, and things are gonna get bad. Things are about to get really bad. I loved this episode, Tunney. I'll go to you first this time. I can't. It's gonna be hell on earth for the next two episodes of Daredevil.
Yeah, shit's about to hit the fan. Business is about to pick up. I mean, shit did hit the fan here in this episode. That opening scene in the diner with Bullseye is fucking money.
Just outstanding.
It's just so good. He dives behind the counter as the interaction's going on. He looks at the lady that's hiding under there. He's like, that milkshake was awesome.
Good banana.
Banana. Yeah, this show has been great. I really look forward to this show. I think Invincible is. I no secret. I've been in love with that show, but Daredevil has just been so good. And we talked about why, the difference in every other Marvel series compared to what they're doing here has been really fun. Talked about the character work and everything else. Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, man. What a great thing. And then we get the interaction with who's the guy that played Scooby Doo? What's his name? With the glasses.
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, Lillard. And he's got his two guys, and Buck shoots both of them. Really interesting. And then the interaction also between Kingpin's wife and the governor, saying, I don't trust Kingpin, but I trust Mr. and Mrs. Kingpin, right? And
right.
You may not have anybody to trust anymore.
Ray, who do you trust, buddy?
So, we all trust Daredevil, clearly. I trust Karen. I trust Christy, the lawyer.
Yep.
Here's the thing about that bothered me about the episode, because it was a beautiful episode. I am bothered whenever I watch a show and there is a very clear, distinct, don't do this because, and then the person comes and they do the because, and then it's a shock like, oh my God, how did this happen? So when you find Vanessa on the ground with the thing in her head, all I'm there sitting is, you stupid, this is your fault. And now Kingpin gonna lose his ever loving fucking mind. More than already is. I also think that Kingpin again keeps pivoting like genius level shit, right? The whole Matt Murdock was a hero shit was a big, and then them releasing all the prisoners, so bombing the ship to make it look like Daredevil did that was also genius. And now he gonna flip this with Bullseye killing old girl, or she might not be dead, but she dead. Further reasons to flip that and put that on Matt. And so they're telling the story so fantastically, but we're gonna have to get to a point where Matt is gonna have to be more like Bullseye, more like Frank, more like Karen, because you think about it, it was just him and her this whole time. Now you lost the first mate dude because you trusted the fucking marshals. That's stupid in New York. Then you got all the people that were in the whatchamacallit, in the cages that now you protecting too in the building because they up there with you too. You got a lot on your plate now, my boy, which is why I imagine, and of course, if you look at the trailers, Jessica gonna come to him because apparently they're gonna go after her and her daughter. Shout out to Danielle Cage, if you know who you know, if you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, That's why I think he decides to go back to Matt Murdock and go back to where he's always been his most dangerous, in the courtroom.
I hope so. One other question that I had, by the way. Do we think, and I can't remember his character's name, young Mr. Gandolfini saw
Daniel. Daniel.
the exchange?
Oh yeah, for sure.
He knows way too
Yeah.
much.
Right.
But he's playing both sides because he's in love with BB. He's so
Right.
smitten. Like every chance he gets, he's trying to brainwash her into thinking they're more than they are. Right? She really just is using him, and I think that relationship's going to blow up in a pretty bad way at some point.
Yeah, we
I
got-
think. I'm sorry, Patrick.
No, I mean, like we got 4 episodes to go for it to fall apart. So
There is no question she's using him, but I think she likes him, and she's trying. I think she really does like him too, but she's trying to put this facade up because she understands I got to make a stance, and I can't do what I'd have to do, and really fall for you. So I'm going to play this game where it's helping me out because I like you, but I also am playing you. And for a dude like Daniel, and this is I don't mean no disrespect, but a dude like Daniel normally don't give it a girl like BB,
right.
right?
We,
So it gives him a little bit of status, being that I'm the deputy mayor and this and that, and I got this fine ass girl on my arm too. So I think they're both helping each other, but I think BB's definitely into him more than she lets on. But also, their faces when he was beating the holy hell and damn near killed the
yeah, like
boxer.
he's like thrilled and she is disgusted.
Something's gonna come
and-
of that.
Well, it's just that's the thing is she may like him, but like, and he may like her. Ultimately, though, what we've seen time and time again with Daniel, like BB's his blind spot, but at some point he can't be blind to it any longer. It's push is
For
gonna
sure.
come to shove, and I think it's gonna be whatever she releases out of this next SIM
Oh
card.
yeah, because someone would have to have been there to see it.
Right.
Good point.
So I think he's waiting. He's just he's desperate for her to do what he has told her to do, and she's not going to do that because she is her uncle's niece.
We'll
Like
get the Deadpool ready because Buck about to blast another one next episode.
You think so? Who's
No.
Buck killing?
I don't think BB's dead next episode, but in one of these next two, he's gonna kill her and put it on Daniel because Daniel didn't get the job done.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope not. But I've been wrong already. So might happen again. By the way, said goodbye to Swordsman for a while. He taking a break. We'll maybe see him down the road.
Shout out
Who
to giving him the
knows?
black card though.
Yep. So we got some of that going on. I just love so much happened in this episode. It was so good. It was the highest rated. It's the highest rated episode of Marvel television in years. And it was damn near a 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it earned it. I will say I do disagree with person not doing like Vanessa isn't one to hide. She never has been. So to me, it would have been completely out of character for her to do what she was told. You know what I mean? And so
I do, but
while I get it, but I don't think it's like something that was out of character for her. Wearing the white dress was a little overkill. Like she came in that white dress, was like, oh, she's fucking bleeding all over that thing.
and
Sure enough, she did.
And the problem is, what the problem between them has always been, no communication. Because had he told her this is a trap,
right,
she wouldn't have won. Well, she would have won anyway, but she'd have been smarter. Because
right.
she was completely blown away and shocked when Bullseye popped up, whereas that was the whole plan.
I mean, stupid people do stupid things all the time.
And get stupid shards in their head.
It's true.
Well, do stupid things, win stupid prizes is the line.
Speaking of stupid people doing stupid things, let's move on to The Boys. We had 2 episodes of The Boys drop this week. Amazon Prime, highly anticipated. This is the final season, and we had 2 very different episodes, both very effective episodes. And I want to start for those of you who don't recall, I was really down on The Boys last season, and it's still watching The Boys of the shows that we watch. And Daredevil Born Again also is at this level. Like the use of politics and political manipulation to influence the masses is frustrating because it's what's going on in real life right now. The spin that our political system is putting out there is just, it's insane to me. And these shows that actually show this and reflect it, and people getting either angry about that and calling it too woke, or being like, yeah, Homelander's right, is messed up. And it bothers me, and it makes me a little sad. These first two episodes haven't leaned in as heavily as I felt season 4 did yet. I did appreciate, so we opened this season up. Homelander and Vought are giving this big rally, and Annie and the Starlighters basically are breaking into this thing to upload the Flight 30 something video from all the way back in season 1, where Homelander makes the decision not to save this plane. In fact, is the reason it blows up in the sky because he lasers it with his eyes. Nobody lives. He fights Maeve about it. That video gets uploaded. It creates this awkward moment for a minute, but then the spin machine within the 24 hours has just been like, it's a deep fake. And here, look at these, got 7 fingers on his hand. How and what's really great about that is that, yeah, that's like so much of what I think many of us battle as a people is the deep fake, or the just not real stuff that people fall for based on AI generated images, or even just straight up lies.
Yeah.
Like the number of stuff where somebody I know will share something, and I'm like, I can objectively look at that and be like, that is so fucking fake. How are you sharing this and not knowing it's fake? And so for that to be like sort of where we kick off and lead before we then join Huey and Frenchie and Mother's Milk in the internment camp, and them trying to break out, Homelander trying to hold on to control of the situation, doing everything he can to go after Starlighters, to Starlight herself, Annie, just really wrestling with the burden of being the beacon that the banner that people are dying under, or being, whisked away for. And, that sense of responsibility bleeding into the second episode, which we'll get to, was very, it was a very tight, well developed, quick episode. Like, we briefly catch up on where Butcher is, where Kumiko is, where Annie is, everything that's going on in the camp, before we get to this trap that is going to be laid by Homelander deciding that we will execute Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Huey within 48 hours in an effort to draw Butcher, Annie, and any other Starlighter that they can. And everything goes to hell. And so I'll leave it at that, though eventually the team from The Boys does escape, is reunited. The OGs are back, but this is the foundation that we lay in front of us. And Ray, Tunney pointed to you, so you have the honors. As best you can, let's keep it to episode 1.
Sure.
I think
I'll wait until the end then, because I can't tell the difference between the two.
The other big point, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, is A-Train dying at the end of this episode, but coming full circle as a character. So reluctant to aid in the escape and the prison break from the camp, eventually does come around to doing so and helping, distracts Homelander enough so that the rest of the boys can escape. And in a moment, and what trips him up literally is him avoiding another person and not exploding them like he did to Huey's girlfriend in the very first episode of season 1.
Yeah, great writing. Great writing. Excuse me. Shout out to Jesse T. Usher, man. He played that role perfectly. I love when we have seasons of series and a big break between them, and you get to the next break, you get to the next season, and you see the progression of all the characters makes sense. Like what Mother's Milk has gone through. It makes sense that he just wants to fight and be destructive and drink. Yeah. Huey's been the only one who's gone through the worst of everybody, and is the only one that keeps humanity. It makes sense. Annie to lose hope because everybody she's recruited, trusted, died. Like when Butcher came and found her, and he was like, "Where are the rest of the Starlighters?" And she looked around and she was like, "What do you think?" Like, makes sense. Even the idea that Kimiko starts talking, she never couldn't talk. She just never had the. She never learned.
TikTok. She learned on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's a silly reasoning, but I think it fits the tenor of the show.
Well, they also mentioned therapy too, so there was some
She has a speech
blockage
therapy,
there.
yeah. And then doubling all the way down, Firecracker, Deep, and Sister Sage, everybody has just played their role so perfectly, I think, in that everything makes more and more sense. I will say, and we're getting into a little bit of the second episode, so let me try to dial it back a bit. But Anthony Starr, man, if he's not getting Emmys for this shit, he, Anthony Starr has some of the best facials in the business because so much of what Homelander does, and he
He's a
exudes
master at the
his
twitch, the face
yeah,
twitch
oh
when he's pissed.
man,
Well,
and
you were
like yeah,
no, no, finish.
there are two moments where he cries. They actually are both in the second episode, but like Homeland hasn't cried all season the whole time. And you see, and it's like, why do they keep leaving me? Bitch, you keep making them leave you. But great episode, great series. It's kind of sad to see Annie where she is because she was kind of the impetus of all of this. She really
Right now, she
wasn't
wants to die.
yeah. She's so willing to die that she's helping Butcher actively fix the virus and save Frenchie before she saved Huey. One last thing, real fast. The Gen V integration was enough for me. I need to see more, but mentioning Godolphin and Sister Sage and her being the boyfriend, the mentioning that the virus came from that, like it was enough for me to where, and they mentioned Marie Moreau and her group was doing good. There was enough there for me for the integration to work because I didn't expect to see Marie killing everybody in the first episode, but it was enough for me.
You
Sorry,
brought up
Tony.
Anthony Starr, and you said that we're gonna get to a couple of his physical delivery, and I say that because like his body language and the way he shows you his emotions through his facial expressions. The biggest one is while he's about to kill A Train. A Train is like, dude, you're nothing. You
Right.
take away your power. You're not any. You're just a pathetic bag of bones without your powers. There's nothing to you. And he wanted to crawl in a hole and fucking die right
Oh
there,
boy, so
right?
good.
So I'll leave it at that. And as we get into two, I'll probably be going back and forth with my analysis since I watched them back to
And
back
No,
last
that's
night.
fine. I'm sorry, Ray. Did you have something?
yeah, we're getting to the second one. I'll let you
Do the
get
recap.
in.
So yeah, so
But I just want to talk about when we get there, his kind of one on one with A Train after the funeral. That's also
oh yeah,
very poignant.
yeah, very much so. And that does segue into episode two, which I think the thing I appreciated most about episode one and two is just how distinctly different they were. In that, it's for what it's worth, like a lot of fucked up shit happens. And by the way, giant penis guy getting choked by his own dick. Um, Funny,
Could
fucking
you
dies like
imagine
a snake.
getting stabbed with a sharp wooden dagger on the
Stabbed
tip
in
of
the
your
dick.
I mean,
Could-
oh
No,
my
thank you.
god.
Could you imagine being Laz Alonso and coming to show up to work and you
Hey,
read the
guess what
script? You're like,
today?
hey, what we doing today, boss?
Well, you're gonna
Yeah,
play
you're
with a
gonna
big
fight a
dick.
dude who has
You're gonna
a
play with a
70
big
a
dick
70-foot
today.
dick. Oh,
Well,
fine.
he was the one who got him in there in the first place. That was the great retribution of it all, was that he was the reason he dick whipped Mother's Milk, knocked him
They
out, and that's what
they
led
are
to his
some Peter
capture.
Griffin and the Big Chicken type shit. They are on site every time they see each other.
Right. So we get into we open season we open episode 2 at A Train's funeral being hosted in a mega church by Vaught with special guest star and semi-recurring David Diggs now leading the church, by the way. Not Aaron Burr. God, who was he in Hamilton? Jefferson. He was Thomas Jefferson
and
in the musical Hamilton.
engaged to Ms. Vice President as well, right?
With the fucking thing on it, the
Yeah.
face stuff. That is hilarious.
I did love her. I did love her. She's like, all the powers in the world, and I got a fucking childhood trauma. it's basically her
Psychic
superpower.
tumor growing in the back of my head.
Psychic tumor. But
And the
so
tumor,
we-
the tumor's reaction when the wig goes back. No.
yeah, like, it's so interesting to watch. So we get this mega church celebration, where we're talking about A Train, just all like erasing everything that happened that we know to be the reality, which again is the big MO of this season so far, is misinformation and manipulation of the masses, whether it be through social media or in this funeral. Like this funeral, they could have very easily talked about how A Train betrayed Vought and the American people, but they didn't. They gave him a hero's funeral, and they and then, like you said, Ray, he Homelander was hurt that A Train betrayed them. He thought A Train was one of them. He took A Train seriously, and you see this all the time when you compare that to how he talks to the Deep.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the Deep is just this sap, this fucking sad sack sap that can't show the courage to leave them because he's so desperate for approval and for mattering. But anyway, which we didn't even talk about the Deep and him chasing A Train and all that and all those failures. But so we go through this. They're strategizing as to what to do next. They are aware of this virus. Oh, that was the other thing, is the trap that was laid where Homelander waiting at the internment camp when Huey shows up and everybody in the fucking thing is dead. And he's like, oh, and there's all your Molotov cocktails. We've known about that for a while, by the way.
Just playing with his fingers and shit. Like, dog, really?
And this is what's going to lead to my problem with episode 2. So, at the gang's back together. We learn, they drive around. We do get some background with Butcher, and this may have been in episode 1, because speaking of cameos, John Noble as Butcher's dad, one of my favorite character actors. He was in Lord of the Rings. He's awesome in the TV show Fringe, one of my favorite shows on Fox. That got canceled already. But Billy goes and visits him, talks about how his father like mentally abused him in sort of the idea of like what it means to be a man. But we learn that Billy has continued to do work on the virus, even though everybody's been in these internment camps. We see the return of Dr. What's-His-Nuts. I don't care to learn his real name. You don't have to correct me. His name is Dr. What's-His-Nuts, who is in love with What's-Her-Face. And
that was her husband.
Yes, was married to What's-Her-Face, both of whom, drink, if you will. But anyway, he has continued to work on the virus, and they think they have got it to a point where it may be powerful enough to kill Homelander as well as every other soup in the world. But they need to test it. And so that then leads them to, what's the name of that? I'm going to now again turn because I forgot the name. It looks like a sorority house or a fraternity house that they go to, where there's this dude who's basically a human mountain. What's that?
His name is Rock Hard.
Yeah, Rock Hard, who is just a I don't know. He's turned on by volcanoes and ejaculates and makes himself bigger with his liquid hot magma semen, creating this giant mountain where but he's hidden away in this basement with this group of a pair of influencers, one of whom is like a legitimate cat person.
They're like the Teen Titans of this series of them, like the teenagers.
Right, a generic dude with sponsors who films her, and then yes, somebody who literally controls ravens doing makeup tutorials. But they figure if this virus will work on the Rock guy, whatever his name was again, say it again.
Rock Hard.
Rock Hard. If it works on him, it's probably going to work on Homelander because the guy is nigh invulnerable outside of being able to breathe. This leads them to driving around all over the place, just walking around neighborhoods, doing whatever, not a peep. And I understand because we're going to have, Homelander wake up Soldier Boy.
Wait. You can forget a lot of names. You can't forget Homelander.
I remembered it. I got it back.
Evil Superman. Yeah, that guy.
What's his nuts? No, I already said what's his nuts. Anyway, what's his nuts is married to what's her face. But my point is, like, they can't find these escapees, right? They've gone underground, and fine. But then they are driving around in the van they've always driven around in, walking around neighborhoods in no real attempt. Like, we're not even pulling the hoodie up. We're not even doing this shit. We're just walking around neighborhoods. And
did you have that planned? Did you have that planned for today? Is that why you wore that?
I did not at all. It's just cold in my house, and I'm wearing a hoodie.
Very worked out.
But
hair's good.
But then Homelander, who is going through I miss my daddy, and I don't have any nipples to suck on to get milk. I'm having issues. He decides to unfreeze Soldier Boy, get him pardoned, and is like, I need you to track down Billy Butcher because my people are incompetent. But you knew all the shit that was going on in the prison camp. You've got eyes everywhere, literally eyes everywhere. And we can't find 5 people walking around in the van they've always driven, just blatantly in a neighborhood near a group of teens. Like Ray just compared them to the Teen Titans, clearly Vought kids doing Vought shit, and that's not being surveilled. Come on. I suspending disbelief. I know you need Soldier Boy in, but like I'm sitting there, I was like, I here's what I'm gonna read the text. I'm gonna read the text I sent to Tunney.
Yeah. Before you do.
No.
Did you rape me?
Anyway. No, I did not.
No, Soldier Boy says that to fucking Homelander first.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, wait a minute.
He does.
Five
5 of the most wanted terrorists are just driving around the country in the open, and Homelander can't find them. I'm sorry. No.
So I have a retort, and I have proof that you're not looking at it the way the show is giving it to you.
Okay.
Because it is very much it's announced by the dumbest dude on the show, The Deep, when he comes to clean up after everything, where he says, hey, it was really smart of you to send Soldier Boy down here so you wouldn't get killed by the virus. Homelander don't want to find him because he knows they have a virus. That's why he's sending everybody else.
He could have sent any number of people that he has under his employ.
Right, but again,
to find him too.
There's only 2 people he has that he knows are competent, and that is Soldier Boy now, and 3, count Sage, but Sage doesn't have power; she's just smart, right? And Noir. And the one thing we hadn't mentioned the whole show is Noir disappeared in the middle of the first episode.
Well, we don't know who Noir is.
That's another thing too. We don't know if it's the same Noir, right? So,
well, I'll be really interested to see if they follow comic continuity with that. Because you know who it is in comic continuity, right?
I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. Yes, which will lead to.
Okay, I don't know. So who is it then in the comic?
It's a clone of Homelander.
Oh,
and that's who ends up killing that.
Although maybe, like Deep tried to get him to talk and he wouldn't talk, so maybe that would
right. He wouldn't have anything to do with it. So it's
more like the original Noir.
What if they flip it on us toward and the clone is the person we see as Homelander, and Homelander is actually under the noir.
I mean,
Now
it'd be
you
an
get into
interesting
some
flip.
fucking. You get into
I
some
I don't
damn
I
Black
don't know
Mirror
that we're
shit.
we'll see if Grant Ellis wants to go that far with it. I don't know.
But
It's
the
an
ultimate
interesting
point, though,
thought, but
the ultimate point, Patrick,
yeah, it
though,
is
is
very
that
much a big deal.
that's the reason why Homelander isn't going after them and letting them go
It's
places.
it's not that it's not that is it going after like that. I totally buy, but like the idea that nobody can find them is,
Listen,
or like that he doesn't know where he is or where they are. Like I think that absolutely you could be like, I'm not going after them. Let's send somebody else and lie to them. But to like be like, we can't find them. Like I
I
get
just
the,
want you I just
but
want you guys to
it's okay.
know. Look, I've
Yeah,
never liked anything Starlight's posted on social media. You can check my phone. Here, you can check my phone.
Thank you for that.
thank you.
The deep.
Um,
Hashtag the deep. End scene.
speaking of other stuff that is very interesting within this. So this second episode was a very horny episode, very horny. I know you've been waiting all show, Tony, to talk about this. So first of all, Kumiko gets cut in half at the end of the first episode by Laser Eyes, and Frenchie and her are making out. Well, like he's making out with her torso in the camp, and that was a moment of funny. But we come back, her legs have grown back, and once they get to this safe house and Butcher goes away, Annie and Huey start to have an argument, and then they're like, "Wait a minute, why don't we just fuck?"
Well,
So then they start.
Annie did something that all women do who are in a relationship with a man. When they're having an argument and know that they're wrong, they will just go ahead and end the
Oh yeah, yeah.
argument by having sex with the man because the man
Which
is
was
more interested in having sex than arguing with you.
Well, and it's great that you point that out because again, she's deflecting and she's using sex as a weapon. And the second time she tries to pull it, Huey's like, "No, like we're gonna have a talk first before we do that." I do think that's true. But then the great running gag is Frenchie and Kumiko just not able to keep their hands off each other for the whole episode. We get the sex scene where we get to see all of the giblets. And then just later, like they get ready to go on a mission, and like before they would go, they're fucking making out, and people are having to be like, "Okay, can we go?" She is ready to dive right in right after they release that virus, and he has to be like, "No, no," because she horny.
Funniest
She's
line.
so horny.
Funniest line. Is your vagina back intact?
Well, and she's like, yeah, and it's all like she's like, yes, it's all something in tingling ears, like electric or whatever. It was very funny. But Tony's
Hi.
lone
Hi.
comment on the show in our
Yeah.
text thread.
hmm I mean, Karen Fukuhara, if you would
She's very
ever,
pretty.
if you would ever find yourself in the southeastern Wisconsin region, I'd be more than happy to hang out in whatever capacity. Oh, like, hmm, there's, wow, what a beautifully God-given womanly shape she has. We'll leave it at that.
Well, tried his best to PG it. I'm proud of you.
My goodness. I mean, you're excited. Feel these nipples.
It's like you
All
about to
right,
be like
we're gonna
Rock
let that
Hard in a
breathe a
minute.
little bit. Yeah. There's like a lot of heavy breathing.
No.
going on
Hilarious,
there.
hilarious, all bunch of hilarious stuff going on. Just had to just appreciating the female form. Like I've never been more assured of my heterosexuality in my life than watching that scene. But
That-
everything is just so funny. Everything you mentioned, like I was like, oh, this is we're getting it on kind of part of the episode. You've talked about Huey and Starlight and Frenchie, and obviously making out with half of Kimiko was amazing. But yeah,
That was
can't,
very,
There's one
very
more.
funny.
can't
one more really-
deny the fact that that woman is drop dead amazing.
There's one more funny moment we haven't talked about when the president and Ashley are sitting talking to the Seven, and Homelander and Soldier Boy come in there, and he tells the president, "Oh, by the way," he's telling Soldier Boy, "I run the country. The president works for me." So he tells the president, "Hey, by the way, Soldier Boy's back. He's number 2 in the Seven, and I need you to pardon him." And he's like, "Well, Mr. Homelander, he was a Russian spy." Nope. pardon them. And by the way, what you want to drink? Oh, well, Manhattan. Oh, Mr. President, go get him a Manhattan. And he walks off. He's like, "Would you like me to get you a glass of milk?" He's like, "No, Manhattan."
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, Homelander is so desperate for a familial connection that
Yes.
we'll get to the climax of this episode, right? So we do finally get a sample of this virus, and the goal is to deliver it here, force Rockhard to breathe it in, see if he can catch this virus. And Soldier Boy catches up to them very, very quickly. It's like
So I'm telling you, they always knew where they were. They just didn't want to send nobody.
Anyway, so Soldier Boy catches up. He and Butcher are doing battle. It becomes a race for Huey and Kumiko, right? Yeah, Kumiko to get this vial to this basement where they've sealed everything up, trying to get it ready to go. There's a scary moment where Huey gets lifted way high in the air and gets dropped. He was, of course, rescued by Starlight. It kind of brings full circle the whole, saving people's lives part, because they do have that conversation about what happened in the camp. And eventually they basically trick Soldier Boy when he gets down to the basement into believing that he has gotten the virus in the vial. It's very Thanos and the Infinity Stones. Turns out that Frenchie actually had the vial. Everybody puts on their gas mask. We release the virus. It then kills Rockhard, dude who nobody cares enough to know his name, in the jumpsuit. Mother's Milk, I forgot to mention, does save the Raven Girl. That's a whole conversation, another conflict he's having with like people dying and clearly understanding that she doesn't really want to be involved.
Mhm.
Like that's the other thing that they make it very clear in this is like she's doing makeup tutorials and doing what she's told so that she doesn't get put in a camp and killed. But Soldier Boy is also trapped in there. You watch them all get this disease and kind of succumb to it to a level, and you're left walking away at the time thinking, okay, it has killed these three. It is not infectious to humans, at least in this form. So yay wins all around. Homelander thinks Soldier Boy is dead. He's devastated. That's the big crying scene. And then we get an Undertaker moment when Soldier Boy sits up. We hear the gong. Soldier Boy obviously did not succumb to the disease, which also brings up another question. Does Soldier Boy have the antibodies necessary to prevent other people from getting the disease, a la Wolverine in the X-Men series, where he was the answer to every mutant virus that would ever be thrown out there? Give it to Wolverine. His healing factor will fix it. Take his blood, synthesize it. Everybody's safe.
I was trying to go insert wrestling reference here before you went Undertaker, and you went on it anyway. So that was absolutely amazing. What a crazy fucking scene, right?
Yeah.
Like, and well done. Like, really, really well done. It's funny how we've made a lot of references to Marvel throughout all the series we've been talking about, right? Not
Well, I
just the
think
Marvel,
it's
not
fundamentally
just the
our
Marvel
frame of
series.
reference as a show, right?
Yeah.
Like, I do think it's very much one of our foundational. If there was a bandwagon nerds like pillars or underpinnings, Star Wars, Marvel, and DC are basically the three
No.
pillars that creates a lot of frame of reference and reflection. That's what I was getting at.
No, and like kind of like DWI was started because the WWE Network came along, and we could do monthly reviews of pay-per-views because they were finally all there. Like this
Right.
show started because of Avengers Endgame, right?
Infinity War, actually.
Infinity War. Sorry,
Because
my
I
bad.
explained I explained to our old friend Rick what happened at the show,
exactly,
or in the movie, and then we did a deep dive on that.
But just another great episode, actually, of the boys. I'm higher on them than I was coming into the season after watching these two episodes, because like I think we're past the political agenda because the soups are the politicians now, right? They've taken that over. So I'm okay with.
Was so bleak.
It was bad.
It was so depressing to watch. Yeah, that was real. Like, and I don't know if I was in a different, like maybe I was in a bad spot with my mental health or whatever. But it was just fucking like I was just like, man, even in a show that challenges me or like has bad things happen, I don't want to feel despair watching a show.
Sure.
And I really felt despair watching season 4 of The Boys. Like
I don't know
it
how
was soul crushing at times.
I don't know how you feel, Ray, but I feel like they've kind of got back to the formula that we all love so much, like seasons 1 and 2.
So here's some actual context into why that is because Eric, whatever the boy's name is, the showrunner, did an interview where he said that the first 4 seasons they would write based off what they were seeing in real life. Season 5 was the first time that they wrote the series and season before it came out. They wrote this season and all this before the election happened.
Right.
So that's why none of this seems it's scarily relevant still, but it is not apples to apples like season 4 was. And also a big part of what makes a show work, especially a drama, is hope. You have to
Yes.
always have a modicum of hope. And season 4 had none. And so, like, this is a terrible analogy, but I have this conversation with my mom all the time. There's a show that Tyler Perry used to do called The Haves and Have Nots, and she would always complain about how there was no hope. And I told her, well, the beauty of a drama is you got to have somebody's got to be there's got to be some drama somewhere. But look at a show like Good Times. Thank you. Look at a show like Good Times. Every episode, Good Times is the most depressing show you'll ever watch, but it always worked because they had hope, and that's
Yes.
why it worked. And so
Well, and I
this
think
season of
that's
The
the other
Boys has
thing that
hope.
we know what this show is, right?
Yeah,
Like we know what the season is. We know this is the final season of this iteration, and the other thing we're building toward, us, I'm assuming, is the ultimate downfall of Homelander. It's not going to be the downfall of Bot, like it's just not how it works, but it will be the downfall of Homelander, and I would assume Butcher dying as well. So
yeah.
we'll have to see. So, any other thoughts on episode 1 and 2 of the boys' final season before we head into our second commercial break?
I
I
just
do.
I'll really quick just reiterate the fact that yeah, well I had even mentioned it coming into covering it, and like Patrick at the end of last year was disappointed in 4. I'm back on it now. I'm happy. I'm ready to go. I like what they're doing.
The most interesting thing going forward that's not a major storyline is Ashley realizing that this is a bunch of bullshit and realizing she should have went with A
A
Train
Train.
when she had the chance, and her continuing to try to convince Sage that this is bullshit. We need to fix this because Sage is obviously going to be the person who's going to devise the plan to do all this. I think that is a very open secret because she's so smart. But how they get there is going to be really interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. I am ready to see how this plays out. So this is some good stuff. All right, we're going to jump into our second commercial break. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about a Variety article that got some people's panties in a bunch for no good reason. You're listening to Bandwagon Nerds here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com.
Head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/the chair shot, folks. Check it out. Plenty of great t-shirt designs. Makes a great gift any time of the year for anybody who loves thechairshot.com. That's prowrestlingtees.com/the chair shot. And now, like Ray's got one right there, back to Chairshot's number one villain, Mr. Bandwagon Nerds, Patrick O'Dowd.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tani. Gentlemen, didn't want to go too much of a deep dive into news around the nerdosphere, but we did have an article published by Variety that I found very, very interesting. And I've talked about this before. Variety does an interview or an article, and then their social media job is to post 8,000 different headlines of that article talking about different aspects of it. And the one that I chose to share with all of you is basically Variety did this interview with a bunch of movie theater CEO/owners. And there were a variety of questions here and there, but the one that Variety led with in their social media post was bankable stars in 2026, according to movie theater owners. And it's not a big list, but a lot of familiar names: Leonardo DiCaprio, Zendaya, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Tom Holland, Ryan Gosling, Timothy Chalamet, and Austin Butler. Not on the list, surprisingly enough, Florence Pugh, but I heard she is in this movie somewhere, so we'll figure it out. The article also goes on to talk about some other things like what they think will be the biggest movie of the year. They one of them said that they think it'll be Spider-Man: Brand New Day. A lot of interesting talk about merchandise and the popcorn bucket world, which for me I find really, really interesting because that is something that as a Disney guy, I have seen permeate into the movie theaters. So because it is very like popcorn buckets nowadays are not just like these specialty popcorn buckets are not little like things purely for holding popcorn. In fact, most of them are designed very inconveniently to hold the thing they're supposed to be holding. They have turned into quite the collector's item in different, in different atmospheres. Movie theaters being one of them. At Disney World, I will never forget there was a craze over a popcorn bucket shaped like the character Figment in Epcot that was so intense you had to line up before the store opened, and they only limited like 2 per customer because the resale market was insane. People spending literally thousands of dollars for these popcorn buckets. It was awesome. But folks on the internet, like, so they see this list, right? And I love it because then everybody's like, it's bullshit. What about this person? What about this? They're not saying other people aren't bankable. These were the folks that they asked movie theater owners who brings people to the theaters. And if you look at the movies that have made big bank in the last couple of years, Margot Robbie, fucking Barbie, that thing was massive. Project Hail Mary right now, Ryan Gosling going crazy also in Barbie. Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya are everywhere, making huge money. But they also talked about hits like Sinners and Superman and how those were huge movies for theaters. I just found this to be very, very fascinating and interesting to see what theater owners see as challenges to their industry and what they think will bring people back. Because a lot of people are hoping that this could be a good year for films in theaters. So Ray, I'll go to you first. I know you guys said you read through that article. What were some things that stood out to you from these theater owners when talking about their business?
The biggest thing for me, and the thing that I kind of
lack of Florence Pugh. I hear you. Yeah,
blown away. The biggest thing for me was the bankable stars idea. Although, like one of the dudes asked, should blockbusters cost more to see? I don't think so. If we were to chart, like, get an idea of where these guys are thinking about the financials of it. But
and the reality of making certain types of movies more expensive than others, and how bad that would be.
What's interesting to me though, maybe I'm taking this so wrong. I feel like I'm about to be Chris Pratt on this bitch. Sorry. The names that the old boy Mike Bowers, he's over Harkin Theaters, mentioned. All of them I can understand except for Austin Butler. I love Austin Butler, but Austin Butler has not starred in a movie that has made major money yet. When I say star, I mean be the star. He's been in ensembles because he's in Dune. He's been in ensembles, but he has not been the guy. Elvis didn't make that much money. But for you to mention Sinners and not mention Michael B., who's been in 5 blockbusters,
right?
But also for you to say Sinners was a big swing, was it?
Yes, I 1000% agree that a movie like Sinners, a vampire film that is a reflection of American music and racism in the Deep South, to make the money that it did in a theatrical run is a big swing. I think that is
okay.
That is a ballsy move by a studio, even with the backing of a Michael B. Jordan and a Ryan Coogler. Like, I firmly believe that's a big swing.
What you're saying is right, but that's not what I asked.
Okay.
Sinners as a movie isn't a big swing. Sinners making what it did was a big swing. But we see movies, maybe not literally like Sinners, but similar to Sinners all the time. That is not a extremely unique thing to do to look at racism through the guise of a different type of medium.
Sure.
That's what I mean. I just think people are so dismissive of things that are clearly making money, and this is a lot of this is bias here, because when you say Austin Butler's a rising star, who the fuck is going to go watch Austin Butler movies at the theater? If you would have said say Glenn Powell over him, because at least Glenn Powell made money.
So this is, and I guess this kind of comes back to the point I was making, is that we
focusing too much on. I get you. What you're saying.
I don't think this guy was being inherently like dismissive of like a Michael B. Jordan. I just don't. Tunny trying to spit facts.
$208 million is not a lot of money. How much did it cost to make?
I don't know. Baz Luhrmann's expensive, so who knows? I will tell you, I never saw the Elvis movie, so I can't speak to that.
Me neither. So Ray's got a point. I wasn't trying to jump in on either side or say what Ray was saying wasn't correct. I was just spitting a fact.
I think what tends to happen with things like this, and we see it all the time. Like when somebody is asked to give a list of anything, we project a lot of our own selves. That is a very wide ass list. I will agree with that. Like, listen, if you look at that list, that's a very wide ass list. Also spoken by a 50-year-old white guy,
which is understandable. I'm not offended by it, but like you have to call out what's happening, because we're in the process right now in Hollywood where things are massively changing from a demographic standpoint. Sorry, Tom.
You brought up the controversy of lists. Dustin, and since we've already talked wrestling earlier on Four Corners, you'll hear that tomorrow. Great show. Ray and I were lucky enough to guest with Patrick while Dave's out, so tune into that tomorrow. But I responded. Dustin Rhodes put out, where would I be on your top 500? And if I'm not, let me know. I have thick skin. He just threw out a post on social media, to which I replied with the Chair Shot 100 from 2022, and all I did was heart replies that weren't complete jackasses. I had over 14,000 views on that post, and I had people arguing with each other, and I didn't even jump in. I had people attacking what we did, and I had people coming in and defending what we did. And it's just insane. A list will drive traffic more times than not, like you said, Patrick, because it's personal to a lot of people.
Right, very much so. Like we do list shows on this show periodically at different times where we will, and we make a point when we talk about it on these shows. Like when we make a list, it's my list. So looking through that lens, there's probably a level of out of touch again when it comes to anything like that. One of the things I thought was really interesting, and I'm moving away from sort of the list thing. Chairs, just some of the things that they talked about in there. Like one of them talking about how they would prefer to have not reclining chairs because they're a pain in the ass and expensive to like work on and fix. But as he said, the people have spoken. Like they want the reclining chair, so we are going to give them the reclining chair.
The theater that DP and I go to, we have Marcus Cinemas, and I think they're great. Yep. I think they're great. The place we have has an actual Italian restaurant inside of the movie theater. So if you don't want to have a hot dog and popcorn, you can get some actual good stuff. They have an arcade. They have 3D capabilities. They have Screen X capabilities. But now every chair is a Dream Lounger. There are no non-Dream Lounger chairs at that theater. Every single part of that theater has a reclinable and heatable seat.
Yep. And that stuff is brought in and here's the thing is it's more expensive on the front end, but cheaper on the maintenance end, because if you have different types of seats and different types of theaters, you probably have to have different types of techs, different types of equipment, supplies, get it all homogenous and it works. So I think it's a very interesting read. People, I would encourage you to check this article out. And yeah, I think it is healthy to talk about who we believe are bankable stars. I think that's one of the things Marvel, we've been talking about Marvel a lot. And even they talk about the reason they think Brand New Day is going to be huge. One of the guys on their list, Tom Holland, and his Spider-Man has been bankable. They know that you can put that out there and boom, it's going to make money. It's not an exhaustive list of theater owners. It's not an exhaustive list of people, but it is a very interesting, in my opinion, discourse. And it just was kind of cool to see a different side of the coin and some folks that are on the business end of it, because there's a lot of hopium out there for the movie theater industry, but we keep seeing theaters close left and right because people don't go. And they even talk about the other big one that they talk about is that they wish release windows were like they used to be, that they were longer.
Yeah.
But with the advent of streaming, that has hurt the overall money that the theater can make because of the convenience of people seeing stuff in their own home. They would prefer to do that, even if the experience isn't quite the same. A shorter window changes that.
Do you guys have the option? Do you guys have the option? I want Ray to hear this, of joining. Like, I am a Marcus member, and I get emails that say, like, a couple times a month, they have mystery movies, and you don't know what the movie is. They just tell you the genre, but it's something that hasn't come out yet, and you can go for $5. Have you guys have anything like that in your neck of the woods?
I haven't had that sweet of a deal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't done it yet, but I'm going to one of these times. My fear is the time I'm doing it, it's going to be a horror movie, and I'm going to hate it.
Because I'm a member of the Cinemark Rewards program. I was trying to find the app and show it to you, but I don't know. Oh, it's because I put it in a file like a dummy, and I was like, where the fuck is it? They used to. My favorite thing about Cinemark is they used to have $5 Tuesday.
Here, it's $6. Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Cinemark used to have $5 Tuesday, so every Tuesday of the week, any movie, anytime was $5.
We still have the Tuesday at $6 for 3 popcorn.
Right, and it may have gone up. I don't know, but one summer. So in one of my former jobs, my summer was a 12-month contract where I only had 10 months of work, and they would give us the summers off. And I went to the movie theater every Tuesday. I must have seen everything that came out one summer. This is the year Thor came out. Missed those days.
Nice. I know Ray and I are like Saturday morning kind of guys. The earliest showing on Saturday is usually
and the grandmas, baby.
Even if it's a new Marvel movie, like, there's room in the theater. It's only half full, which is so good.
That's why I never buy them early. I just buy them that weekend because I just go see it.
The worst part of $5 Tuesday in the summer was summer camp season.
Oh,
if you went to the wrong kids movie on the wrong day, you'd see like 50 kids in the same yellow T-shirt just screaming at the theater, and like, mistakes have been made in the past. So anyway, a lot of fun. Check that article out. I think there's some good nuggets in there. All right, fellas, we are heading towards the home stretch, the end of this show. Can't end a show without telling people what we're watching, and so we're going to get right to it with the What You Watching segment this week. Let's start with Ray Cash. What are you watching other than the framework of the Chairshot Radio Network website?
He's not.
Nothing. No. In all seriousness, one episode left in the Pitt season. Pitt's been great this year.
Which, by the way, if people want to watch the finale of The Pitt early, it's showing in select theaters a few days before it goes up on HBO.
Way.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Pulling with Stranger Things, huh?
I might do that.
Just trying to be on top of my nerd game.
Appreciate it. The show Paradise on Hulu and Disney Plus season ended last week. Great show, great season. Sterling K. Brown continues the show. He's a bankable star. And
he's big mad, everybody. Big mad.
Just medium mad.
Well done,
More
Ray.
sleepy
Well
than
done.
mad. Thank you.
Well done.
And finally, Euphoria new season starts tonight, so that will be watched tonight.
Yeah. Then things be thinking. I didn't even say who, but you know.
A lot of things be thinking on that show if you don't talk about.
Oof. I've been watching wrestling, which I usually just kind of skip through just because it's that time of year. Shark Tank had another new episode. We already talked about Saturday Night Live and their phenomenal lineup to end season 51. after we get done with here, Patrick, I'm going to watch the newest episode of Born to Bowl. I didn't have time because we had 4 hours of shit to take care of this weekend for the show, which, you know what? Kudos to us to getting it done and pulling up our britches and putting in the work of covering 3 shows. I'm proud of us because these are 3 shows that are really important to this show, in my opinion. So kudos to us. That's what I want to say right now.
You mentioned SNL. One last shout out. Shout out to Ashley Padilla, the MVP of this season.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Unquestionably the MVP.
Has anybody watched the British version of SNL yet, or any
I
of the
meant
sketches?
to check the first episode.
I see them floating around, like they're showing they're doing sketches on YouTube and stuff, like they're sharing them, like much like they do SNL. I just didn't know if anybody had gotten a sense of how that
I have
is
not.
going or how that cast is.
I saw
I have
a
not.
small part.
I've also never seen the British version of The Office.
Hmm.
You know
I
why?
didn't.
You know why? Because
Why?
in 1776, we defeated them bastards.
Anyway, I have never watched any season of The Office. I could never get into it and just quit.
That's what she
So the Bill Lawrence middle-aged
shit.
white guy
That's going to the whiteboard.
series of television shows have continued. One involving, that's what she said, Steve Carell.
He's writing so hard, this marker's squeaking. Sorry, Patrick. I don't mean to interrupt you,
Rooster,
but this is funny.
Yeah, Rooster,
How good is
great show?
Bye, everyone. How good is Rooster, Patrick? Because I'm intrigued.
I've really enjoyed it. It stars Jamie Tart, basically playing Jamie Tart as a history professor. So it's hilarious. Like it's like
that's intriguing.
Total. He's like a totally immature, unself-aware history professor who really like is or something. Basically, the storyline is that character has an affair with a doctoral student. So not like in school anymore. And Steve Carell plays the father of the woman who Jamie Tart's character cheated on with. And he is an author of these sort of throwaway James Bond-esque sort of like stereotypical macho guy novels. And the president of the university like loves these books and this author. And so he convinces Steve Carell to start working for this university basically by holding his daughter's job in the balance. And she's earned it, but there's a lot going on in that show. But basically every Bill Lawrence show right now is a man in his 40s to early 50s going through a level of midlife crisis and like working his shit out in some way, shape, or form and giving you feels. Ted Lasso was that. Scrubs is that. Like basically Zach Braff is the same thing. And I've been watching the Scrubs reboot, enjoying that. Just finished the 3rd season of Shrinking, which is really interesting because that's also a great show. Some of the best work I've ever seen Harrison Ford do. Of the 3 shows, Shrinking is, I think, the best that, in my opinion, of what they've done. But it's some of the best work I've ever seen Harrison Ford do. Like period. It's so unlike anything I've seen him do, and I think that's what makes it so great. His character battling Parkinson's disease, like that's his big story arc. And then Jason Segel is again a middle-aged dude, single dad with a daughter, trying to get his life together after his wife dies in a drunk driving car accident. But that show was supposed to be a 3-season story arc, right? Comes to this very nice, neat conclusion that I'm like, oh, that feels like a series finale. It's been renewed for a season 4, and they've already said we have to do a time jump and sort of do something with these lives advancing, because the story of Shrinking is about grief and about recovering from grief. And so each season is a stage of that recovery. It's very, very interesting. I like it. Jessica Williams plays one of the best characters in that show. She is a therapist alongside Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. So still strongly advocate, if you have Apple TV, check it out. It is worth the time. They're quick watches, only half-hour episodes with 12 episodes a season. So easy watch. And then I've started reading a book that's about to get turned into a series that I'm very, very excited about. I didn't realize that there were as many books as there were in this series, but there's a book called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And the basic story is about this guy named Carl who is trying to get his ex-girlfriend's cat out of a tree in the middle of winter when all of a sudden every building in the world collapses in on itself as an alien race that represents some sort of interstellar government tells them that basically Earth is defaulted on their loan and they're about to strip the planet of all resources in almost like a repossession. But Earthlings have the opportunity to save this planet if they can get through 18 dungeon levels beneath the Earth's surface. And Carl, because it's freezing out, takes the cat, goes into this dungeon, and it instantly then turns into like almost like a video game. Like he has a heads up display with like a health bar and like a levels, and there's like items and loot chests, and it's pretty. I just started. It's pretty good. It's getting turned into a series soon that I think I'm gonna have to watch because if it's as good as this book is, I see why they chose it to be a series. So that's what I'm watching, and then of course Board to Bowl PBA. Gonna see who wins the New York Classic today. No EJ Tackett, sad for me. Nope, no big times. The biggest name is Chris Prather, who he's a veteran who hasn't been on TV in forever. So see how that goes. That being said, gentlemen, I know Ray's tired, Tony's tired. You guys have been working hard, trying to get this website up going. Well, mostly Ray, but working hard. Thank you for all your work. Tomorrow's a big day for you guys, for all of us. That I know you guys have been doing a lot of this. I'm merely a podcast host that refuses to do extra things when you ask me.
Well, Patrick, that part might be true.
Patrick,
it's definitely true.
But Patrick, you've created something that's so consistent on top of doing other things. So you're very, very important with exactly what you do.
Plus, you're the owner's work wife, dog. Like, what are we doing? Stop it.
Anyway, before we head out of here, because I don't like taking compliments, but sure. Talk more about me.
Well, fuck you, villain. Pass it over to us so we can tell where everybody is.
That's what I'm trying to tell everybody where they can find you out there in the interwebs, Tony.
Follow me at PC Tunny, and like Ray said, thechairshot.com. Make sure you're going there, and you're gonna love it.
Ray Cash.
You know what it is. You know where to find me. All that good shit.
REYs, Mysterio, CASHs, and $ at It's Ray Cash.
I'm gonna mute your bitch ass next time you do that.
You can. I'm the host. That's why I did that today.
I pay for the Riverside. I can find a way to do it. No, I want to shout out my boy PC Tunny because my boy puts in all this work, the podcast extraordinaire and all this stuff. But another side of this man is
I have 6 written articles coming out in the next month. 6
coming out today. Is Tunny's first article for the Legends of WrestleMania historical theme this month. Ultimate Warrior, Ultimate Energy. Check it out live now on thechairshot.com. The old version and the new version tomorrow. But April 12th, every day is a new one. Tomorrow, April 13th, which is today if you're live. Today if you're listening. Tomorrow if you're live.
What you're looking at is now.
Yes.
What happened to then? You missed it. When? Just now. We're looking at now.
Patrick, prepare to fast forward.
Prepare to fast forward.
Fast forward.
April 13th, the Brock Lesnar column by Carl Irvin, Outsiders OG will drop. So yeah, big shit.
Why are you preparing? We're always preparing. Just go.
I'm surrounded by assholes.
Also, shout out to the Attitude of Aggression website, our good friend Dave, www.attitudeofaggression.com. We miss you, Dave. We'll see. Well, I won't see you. I'll be bowling for dollars next week, but you get to herd the cats next week. It'll be a good time. I'm assuming the three of you will also do the Four Corners podcast. So am I to understand that this episode is the first episode on the new reblasted website?
It's the very first episode, indeed.
How about that?
Fitting.
One of the standard bearers. Let's go. Anyway,
other than Tony's DWI, the most consistent show, unquestionably.
Cool. All right. Well, folks, that is going to do it for this week's edition of Bandwagon Nerds. Forgot. Follow me on the socials at Wrestling Realist, at WRESTLNGREALIST. You catch me every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on the Chairshot Radio Network. Mondays talking nerdy stuff with these guys. Tuesdays talking sports with David Ungar on the Four Corners podcast. And Wednesdays talking wrestling with Greg DeMarco when we feel like it. Otherwise, Tony's just going to put something up. We all know it. We know it's going to happen. Tony's going to do it. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of Bandwagon Nerds. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Now get yourself out of the basement, get some sun, and get those 4 hours of television in, and then set up for another 3, because we got a lot of watching to do, and we want you to come along with us. This has been Bandwagon Nerds here on the Chairshot Radio Network, part of the Chairshot.com.